What kind of queen would set her kingdom ablaze to purify souls? Isabella of Castile, revered as a unifier of Spain, was a woman whose fanatical faith drove her to unleash the Spanish Inquisition, a reign of terror that left thousands dead or exiled. Her name evokes both awe and horror, a paradox of devotion and destruction. If this tale of zeal and bloodshed hooks you, hit that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you stand in the shadow of Isabella's wrath? Let's unveil the woman behind the crown, born in 1451 in Madrigal de las Altas. Torres, Isabella was no ordinary princess. She grew up in a Spain fractured by rival factions, where Christian kingdoms clashed with Muslim territories and Jewish communities thrived amid tension. From a young age, Isabella's piety was intense. Contemporaries described her praying for hours, her knees bruised from devotion. By 19, she defied her brother's plans, marrying Ferdinand of Aragon in a secret ceremony that would unite Castile and Aragon, forging modern Spain. Historical records note her striking presence, auburn hair, piercing green eyes, and a will of iron that intimidated even seasoned courtiers. Yet it was her unyielding religious fervor that shocked the world. In 1478, Isabella with Ferdinand secured a papal bull to establish the Spanish Inquisition, an institution meant to root out heresy, but infamous for its brutality. Her faith wasn't just personal, it was a weapon. She believed Spain's unity depended on a single religion, viewing Jews and Muslims as threats to her vision of a Christian nation. By 1492, she issued the Alhambra Decree, expelling 200,000 Jews unless they converted. Thousands faced torture or death under the Inquisition's iron fist, with public burnings, called autos de fe, drawing crowds. Historical estimates suggest up to 5,000 executions and countless imprisonments, by 1,500 numbers that chill modern sensibilities. Modern historians see Isabella's zeal as both strategic and obsessive. Her faith, shaped by a turbulent era, drove her to unify Spain at any cost. Psychologically, she may have exhibited traits of religious fanaticism, her devotion bordering on paranoia about spiritual purity. Yet she wasn't a one-dimensional tyrant. She funded Columbus's 1492 voyage, sparking the Age of Exploration, and was a patron of learning, founding schools and supporting scholars. This duality, visionary queen and merciless enforcer, makes her riveting. To her supporters, she was a saintly unifier. To her victims, a harbinger of suffering. Why did Isabella's faith turn so deadly, and what drove her to such extremes? In the next part, we'll explore the brutal machinery of the Inquisition and the lives it shattered under her command. Can you face the horrors of her holy war? The machinery of fear. What kind of queen builds a machine to crush souls in the name of God? Isabella of Castile's Spanish Inquisition wasn't just a court. It was a terrifying system of surveillance, torture, and execution that reshaped Spain in blood and fire. Her unyielding faith turned neighbors into spies and families into victims, leaving a trail of anguish that still shocks today. If this tale of holy terror grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who crave history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you survive the Inquisition's wrath? Let's uncover the horrors of Isabella's crusade. By 1478, Isabella, alongside her husband Ferdinand, had launched the Spanish Inquisition to enforce Catholic orthodoxy in a newly unified Spain. The institution, approved by Pope Sixtus IV, was designed to root out heresy, particularly among conversos Jews who converted to Christianity, and Moriscos, converted Muslims suspected of secretly practicing their old faiths. Isabella saw this as her divine mission, believing a pure Catholic nation would secure Spain's strength. Historical records estimate that by 1500, the Inquisition had investigated over 150,000 people, with thousands tortured and up to 5,000 burned at the stake in public autos da fe. These spectacles, often held in city squares, drew crowds who watched victims scream as flames consumed them. Picture a grim tribunal chamber in Toledo. 1480s, black-robed inquisitors, their faces stern, questioning a trembling converso merchant. The accused, perhaps denounced by a jealous neighbor, faced accusations of lighting Sabbath candles in secret. Torture was routine racks, stretched bodies, waterboarding choked confessions, and hot irons seared flesh. Historical accounts describe cells packed with prisoners, some driven mad by fear. A chilling detail found in a 1490 inquisitor's log reveals the scale. One tribunal processed 700 cases in a single year, with confessions often coerced under agony. Modern historians note that Isabella didn't personally oversee these trials, but her fervent support and appointment of zealous inquisitors like Tomás de Torquemada fueled the machine. The emotional toll was staggering. Families were torn apart. Children denounced parents. Neighbors betrayed neighbors, driven by fear or greed, as confiscated property enriched the crown. Jewish and Muslim communities, already marginalized, faced impossible choices: convert, flee, or die. The 1492 Alhambra decree, co-signed by Isabella, forced 200,000 Jews into exile, many losing everything. Modern psychology suggests Isabella's obsession with religious purity reflected a mix of devotion and paranoia, her faith blinding her to the human cost. Yet she wasn't a distant figurehead. She attended autos da fe, her presence signaling divine approval. The Inquisition wasn't just about faith, it was about control. By targeting conversos and moriscos, Isabella consolidated power, uniting Spain under one religion while filling royal coffers. But at what cost? The screams of the tortured echoed beyond Spain, tarnishing her legacy. How did this holy war shape her reign, and what drove her to such extremes? In the next part, we'll explore Isabella's personal life and the contradictions that defined her rule. Can you face the heart of her crusade, the woman behind the crown? What drives a queen to pray with fervor, yet order thousands to their deaths? Isabella of Castile was not just the architect of the Spanish Inquisition. She was a wife, mother, and woman whose personal contradictions fueled her relentless pursuit of a unified Catholic Spain. Her life, a tapestry of devotion and determination, reveals a complex figure whose heart and iron will shape an era. If this tale of faith and ferocity grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest mysteries. Drop a comment. Could you balance Isabella's piety with her cruelty? Let's unveil the woman behind the crown. By the 1480s, Isabella, now in her 30s, was Queen of Castile, ruling alongside her husband Ferdinand of Aragon. Their marriage, forged in 1469 against royal opposition, was a bold act of defiance that united two powerful kingdoms. Historical records describe a partnership of equals rare, for the time built on mutual respect and shared ambition. Isabella's auburn hair and green eyes captivated Ferdinand, but it was her sharp intellect that made her indispensable. Letters between them reveal a genuine affection with Ferdinand, calling her "my heart." Yet their union was strategic, aimed at consolidating power in a fractured Spain. Isabella's personal life was a paradox: a loving wife who attended Mass daily, yet a ruler who endorsed the Inquisition's horrors. Her role as a mother was equally complex. Isabella bore 5 children who survived to adulthood, including her heir Joanna, later known as the Mad. She was a hands-on parent, overseeing their education, with a focus on religion and governance. A poignant detail from a 1490 court chronicle describes Isabella weeping as she sent her daughter Catherine to marry England's Arthur, knowing she might never see her again. This tenderness clashes with her ruthlessness. While she nurtured her children, she approved the expulsion of 200,000 Jews in 1492, tearing families apart. Modern psychology suggests this duality reflects cognitive dissonance. Isabella's faith justified her actions, blinding her to their human toll. Her personal habits were austere. She wore simple gowns, shunning luxury, and spent hours in prayer, often fasting. Yet she was no recluse. She rode into battle alongside Ferdinand during the Reconquista, rallying troops against Muslim Granada. Historical accounts note her presence at sieges, her armor gleaming under the Spanish sun, inspiring soldiers with her resolve. This warrior queen image contrasts with her role in the Inquisition, where her faith fueled persecution. Modern historians argue her piety was both genuine and calculated, a tool to unify Spain under one religion while strengthening her rule. The emotional weight of her choices is stark. Her children, raised in a court of rigid faith, faced their own tragedies: Joanna's mental instability, Catherine's turbulent marriage to Henry VIII. The Jewish and Muslim families she displaced suffered unimaginable loss, their stories a haunting counterpoint to her triumphs. Isabella's contradictions, devout yet deadly, loving yet merciless, make her a figure of fascination and dread. How did her vision for Spain's glory shape her global legacy? In the next part, we'll explore her role in the Reconquista and the conquest of Granada. Can you face the cost of her holy empire, the sword of the Reconquista? What kind of queen rides into battle to forge a nation in blood and faith? Isabella of Castile's relentless drive to unify Spain under Christianity culminated in the Reconquista, a centuries-long crusade that ended with the brutal conquest of Granada in 1492. Her vision of a Catholic empire reshaped history, but at a cost that still echoes in the cries of the vanquished. If this tale of triumph and tragedy grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest chapters. Drop a comment. Could you stand on the battlefield with Isabella? Let's uncover the fire of her holy war. By the 1480s, Isabella and Ferdinand were locked in a grueling campaign to reclaim Spain from Muslim rule. The Reconquista, a series of wars to expel Islamic kingdoms from the Iberian Peninsula, had raged for centuries. Granada. The last Muslim stronghold was a glittering jewel of culture with its Alhambra palace and thriving markets. Isabella, now in her 30s, saw its conquest as her divine duty. Historical records describe her as a hands-on commander, riding alongside Ferdinand in armor, her auburn hair tucked beneath a helmet, rallying troops with speeches that invoked God's will. A 1486 chronicle notes her visiting siege camps, tending to wounded soldiers, her presence boosting morale. The campaign was brutal. From 1482 to 1492, Isabella and Ferdinand's forces besieged Granada, cutting off supplies and bombarding its walls. Historical estimates suggest thousands of Muslim civilians died from starvation or battle, with survivors facing exile or forced conversion. The 1492 surrender of Granada, marked by Emir Boabdil's tearful departure, was a triumph for Isabella. She entered the city in a grand procession, raising a cross over the Alhambra. Yet a chilling detail from a 1492 Spanish chronicle reveals the human cost. Muslim families, stripped of homes, were marched out under guard, many to face poverty or death in North Africa. Modern historians view the Reconquista as both a military and ideological victory. Isabella's strategic funding, diverting resources from her court, and even pawning her jewels ensured success. Modern psychology suggests her fervor was rooted in a messianic belief in her role as God's instrument, blending ambition with faith. Yet the conquest wasn't just about territory, it was about erasing a culture. The Moriscos who remained faced suspicion. Their traditions outlawed their lives, monitored by the Inquisition. The emotional toll is heart-wrenching. Muslim scholars, poets, and families saw centuries of heritage crushed under Isabella's vision of unity. Isabella's triumph in Granada solidified her as Spain's warrior queen, but it deepened her legacy of intolerance. The same year she funded Columbus's voyage, linking her conquest to global exploration. How did these victories shape Spain's rise and her darker legacy? In the next part, we'll explore her role in the Age of Exploration and the global impact of her decisions. Can you face the cost of her empire's dawn? The dawn of a new world. What kind of queen gambles her crown on a sailor's dream, unleashing an era of conquest and calamity? Isabella of Castile's decision to fund Christopher Columbus's 1492 voyage didn't just open the Americas. It sparked a wave of exploration and exploitation that reshaped the world, leaving a legacy of wonder and horror. Her ambition tied to faith and power changed history, but at a staggering human cost. If this tale of discovery and destruction grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you justify Isabella's world-changing choice? Let's unveil the dawn of her global empire. In 1492, Isabella stood at the pinnacle of her reign. The conquest of Granada had unified Spain under Christian rule, and the Spanish Inquisition was enforcing her vision of religious purity. Yet her ambition stretched beyond Iberia. Enter Christopher Columbus, a Genoese sailor, with a bold claim he could reach Asia by sailing west. Most monarchs dismissed him, but Isabella, intrigued by his promise of wealth and the spread of Christianity, saw divine purpose. Historical records show she pawned her jewels to fund his voyage, a risky move for a kingdom strained by war. A 1492 court document details her agreement Columbus would receive ship's men and the title of admiral with Spain, claiming any lands discovered. Picture the port of Palos August, 1492. 3 ships, the Niña Pinta and Santa Maria, set sail under a blazing sun, carrying Isabella's hopes. When Columbus returned in 1493, proclaiming new lands mistakenly believed to be Asia, Isabella saw it as God's favor. Her court buzzed with excitement, gold, spices, and souls to convert promised untold riches. But the reality was darker. Columbus's arrival in the Caribbean unleashed colonization, enslavement, and disease on indigenous peoples. Historical estimates suggest millions died within decades from smallpox or brutal labor under Spanish rule. A chilling detail from a 1493 letter by Columbus describes native Taino people as docile, yet thousands were enslaved, their cultures erased. Modern historians view Isabella's role as pivotal, yet troubling. Her funding of Columbus, driven by faith and greed, launched the Age of Exploration, making Spain a global power. Modern anthropology highlights the catastrophic impact on indigenous populations, with some labeling it a genocide, enabled by Isabella's vision. Psychologically, her actions reflect a messianic complex. She believed she was ordained to spread Christianity, blinding her to the human toll. Yet she wasn't indifferent. She issued decrees to protect native converts, though these were largely ignored by greedy colonists. The emotional stakes are profound. Indigenous families wiped out by disease and conquest contrast with Isabella's triumph as Spain's wealth soared. Her legacy as a visionary queen is inseparable from the suffering her decisions unleashed. How did her global ambitions intertwine with her domestic cruelties? In the next part, we'll explore the personal toll of her reign and the tragedies that haunted her family. Can you face the shadows of her golden age, the shadows of her throne? What kind of queen builds an empire only to see her family crumble under its weight? Isabella of Castile's reign was a triumph of faith and power, but her personal life was marred by heartbreak, betrayal, and madness that tore at her heart. The woman who unified Spain and launched the Age of Exploration could not shield her children from tragedy, nor escape the shadows of her own choices. If this tale of glory and grief grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you bear the pain of Isabella's losses? Let's unveil the shadows haunting her throne. By the 1490s, Isabella was at the height of her power. Her conquest of Granada and funding of Columbus's voyage cementing her as Spain's warrior queen. Yet her personal life was unraveling. She and Ferdinand had 5 surviving children, Isabel, Juan, Joanna Maria, and Catherine, each raised with rigid discipline and Catholic devotion. Isabella poured her heart into their futures, arranging marriages to secure alliances across Europe. But fate was unkind. Historical records paint a grim picture. Her only son, Juan, heir to the throne, died in 1497 at 19, likely from tuberculosis, leaving Isabella devastated. A 1497 court letter describes her weeping uncontrollably, her faith tested by the loss of Spain's future king. Joanna, her next heir, brought deeper sorrow. Known later as Joanna the Mad, she showed signs of mental instability exacerbated by her tumultuous marriage to Philip of Burgundy. Historical accounts note Isabella's anguish as Joanna's erratic behavior, obsessive love for Philip, even after his death, threatened Spain's stability. Catherine, sent to England to marry Arthur, Prince of Wales, faced widowhood at 16 when Arthur died in 1502. Her later marriage to Henry VIII led to heartbreak and England's break with Catholicism, a bitter irony for Isabella's devout legacy. A chilling detail from a 1504 Spanish chronicle reveals Isabella's private torment. She kept a locked chest with letters from her children, rereading them in solitude, as if clinging to their lost promise. Modern historians see Isabella's family tragedies as a reflection of her era's pressures. Arranged marriages meant to secure political alliances often led to emotional isolation for her daughters. Modern psychology suggests Isabella's rigid control, rooted in her own faith-driven upbringing, may have stifled her children, contributing to Joanna's mental decline. Yet Isabella wasn't cold. She mourned deeply, her prayers intensifying as losses mounted. Her own health began to falter, with records noting her frail appearance by her 50s, worn by grief and the burdens of rule. The emotional toll extended beyond her family. The Jewish and Muslim communities she exiled or persecuted suffered generational trauma, their stories a haunting counterpoint to her victories. Isabella's faith, once her strength, became a lens that blurred her empathy, justifying her cruelties as divine will. Her children's tragedies, intertwined with her empire's rise, reveal a queen caught between love and duty. How did these personal losses shape her final years? In the next part, we'll explore Isabella's declining health and the legacy she left behind. Can you face the twilight of her reign? The twilight of a queen. What happens when a queen's iron will falters under the weight of grief and illness? Isabella of Castile, the architect of Spain's unification and the Spanish Inquisition, spent her final years battling a failing body and the fear that her hard-won empire might crumble. Her relentless faith and ambition had forged a nation, but the shadows of her choices, personal and political, loomed large as she faced her end. If this tale of triumph and torment grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you endure the burdens of Isabella's final days? Let's unveil the twilight of her reign. By the early 1500s, Isabella, now in her 50s, was a shadow of the vibrant warrior queen who had ridden into battle and funded Columbus's voyages. The loss of her son Juan in 1497 and the mental instability of her daughter Joanna, her heir, had broken her heart. Historical records describe her health deteriorating, chronic fevers, swelling, and a persistent cough, likely cancer or heart disease, drained her strength. A 1503 court chronicle paints a haunting image. Isabella, once radiant, now pale and frail, praying for hours in her private chapel. Her green eyes dimmed, but still fierce with purpose. She refused to slow down, driven by a need to secure Spain's future. Her final years were marked by a desperate effort to cement her legacy. Fearing Joanna's instability and her husband Philip's ambition, Isabella drafted a detailed will in 1504, naming Joanna as heir, but appointing Ferdinand as regent if needed. This decision, recorded in Spanish archives, was a calculated move to protect Castile from foreign influence. Isabella also focused on religious reforms, strengthening the Church's role, and ensuring the Inquisition's grip, believing it would preserve Spain's unity. A chilling detail from a 1504 letter reveals her obsession. She ordered the burning of heretical books, including Jewish and Muslim texts, erasing centuries of knowledge to purify her realm. Modern historians see Isabella's final acts as a blend of pragmatism and fanaticism. Her will was a masterstroke of political foresight, ensuring Ferdinand's control, but her religious zeal deepened the Inquisition's horrors. Modern psychology suggests her declining health intensified her fixation on salvation, as she sought divine forgiveness for her brutal policies. The emotional toll was profound. Her letters to her daughter Catherine, then struggling in England, reveal a mother's anguish, urging her to remain steadfast in faith. Meanwhile, the Jewish and Muslim exiles scattered across Europe and North Africa carried scars of her decrees, their stories a silent rebuke to her triumphs. Isabella died on November 26, 1504, in Medina del Campo, surrounded by priests and her beloved Ferdinand. Her deathbed words, recorded by a scribe, called for justice and mercy, a stark irony given her legacy. Spain mourned its queen, but her passing marked the end of an era and the beginning of new struggles. How did her vision shape Spain's future, and what legacy did she leave? In the next part, we'll explore the cultural and global impact of Isabella's reign. Can you face the echoes of her empire? The echoes of her empire. How does a queen's vision reshape a nation and haunt the world? Centuries later, Isabella of Castile's reign forged Spain into a global power, but her legacy, stained with the blood of the Inquisition and the conquests she enabled, remains a paradox of triumph and terror. Her name evokes awe, fear, and debate, her actions echoing in history's darkest corners. If this tale of glory and guilt grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's strangest secrets. Drop a comment. Does Isabella's legacy inspire or horrify you? Let's explore the echoes of her empire. Isabella's death in 1504 marked the end of a transformative era, but her influence endured. The Spanish Inquisition, which she championed, continued for centuries, investigating over 150,000 people by 1800, with thousands executed. Her 1492 Alhambra decree, expelling 200,000 Jews, reshaped Spain's cultural fabric, erasing vibrant communities and fostering a rigid Catholic identity. Historical records note that Sephardic Jews scattered across Europe and the Ottoman Empire preserved their Spanish language and traditions, a testament to their resilience amid loss. The Moriscos, forced to convert or leave, faced similar erasure, their mosques and texts destroyed. A haunting detail from a 1510 chronicle reveals that some exiled Jews buried family heirlooms in Spain, hoping to return. Most never did. Globally, Isabella's funding of Columbus's voyage sparked the age of exploration, making Spain a superpower. By the 16th century, her empire stretched from the Americas to Asia, fueled by gold and conquest. Yet this legacy was brutal. Indigenous populations in the Americas plummeted from millions to thousands due to disease and enslavement. Modern historians estimate up to 90% of some native groups died within decades, a catastrophe tied to Isabella's vision of Christian expansion. Her decrees to protect converts were ignored, leaving a trail of suffering. Modern anthropology labels this a cultural genocide, a stain on her achievements. Culturally, Isabella's reign inspired art and literature, from paintings of her as a saintly queen to modern novels questioning her morality. In Spain, she's a national icon celebrated for unification. Globally, she's a symbol of religious intolerance. Modern psychology suggests her legacy reflects the dangers of absolutism. Her faith-driven policies show how conviction can blind one to cruelty. The emotional toll is stark Jewish and Muslim families mourned lost homes while indigenous voices were silenced across oceans. Isabella's Spain rose on their suffering, a paradox of progress and pain. What final truths define her reign, and what lessons linger? In the last part, we'll confront Isabella's chaotic legacy and a shocking revelation about her final wishes. Can you face the shadow of her crown? The eternal flame of her legacy? What kind of queen leaves a legacy that both builds and burns a world? Isabella of Castile's reign forged Spain into a global empire, but her unyielding faith and brutal policies through the Spanish Inquisition, Jewish expulsion and conquests left a scar of suffering that still haunts history. Her name is a paradox, revered and reviled, a testament to the cost of absolute power. If this saga of triumph and terror has gripped you, smash that subscribe button like this video and share it with friends who crave history's darkest tales. Drop a comment. Does Isabella's legacy awe or horrify you? Let's close the book on her eternal flame. Isabella's death in 1504 didn't dim her influence. It set it ablaze. Her unification of Spain through the Reconquista and her funding of Columbus's voyages made Spain a superpower, its wealth and influence stretching across continents. Yet her Spanish Inquisition, which executed thousands and expelled 200,000 Jews, continued for centuries, shaping a nation defined by rigid Catholicism. A final shocking detail found in a 1504 confessor's note deepens the enigma on her deathbed. Isabella reportedly whispered remorse for the sufferings of the innocents, urging mercy for converts, a confession that contrasts with her relentless policies. Historians debate its authenticity, but it suggests a queen wrestling with the human cost of her zeal. Her legacy is a battleground. In Spain, she's a national hero canonized in art and folklore as the queen who birthed a golden age. Statues and festivals honor her, and her role in the Reconquista is celebrated as a triumph of faith. Globally, she's a symbol of intolerance, her expulsion of Jews and Muslims, and the devastation of indigenous peoples tied to her vision. Modern historians estimate the Alhambra Decree displaced entire communities, with Sephardic Jews preserving their Spanish heritage in exile, a bittersweet legacy of resilience. The indigenous death toll in the Americas, millions from disease and conquest, casts a shadow over her achievements. Modern psychology sees Isabella as a study in absolutism, her faith-driven certainty blinding her to empathy. Her story warns of the dangers of unchecked power, where conviction justifies cruelty. The emotional toll is staggering. Jewish and Muslim families lost homes and heritage. Indigenous cultures were erased. Her own children faced tragedy, from Joanna's madness to Catherine's exile. Yet her ambition reshaped the world, from global exploration to Spain's dominance. Her paradox, saintly queen, ruthless crusader, captivates, a reminder that history's heroes are often its villains. Picture Isabella one last time, a frail queen on her deathbed, her green eyes fading, whispering prayers as Spain's future hung in the balance. Her flame endures, both inspiring and warning us. Subscribe to Weird History Unveiled for more shocking true stories. Like and share to spread Isabella's chilling saga, and comment: was she a visionary or a tyrant? What dark history should we explore next? Let's keep her fiery legacy alive.